and welcome to today's Q&A. I'm just going to fix my camera. So today we're going to be talking about reversing type 2 diabetes. Oh my gosh, exciting. I actually am not even being facetious. That's exciting to me because I love talking about this stuff. Sometimes people in my life, their eyes glaze over, but here people like to listen to it. So today we are going to be talking about type 2 diabetes, the 3 pillars of the things that you can do that are going to help you reverse this condition naturally. If you're on medication, you can stay on your medication and do these things and also still feel amazing in your body and start to achieve insulin sensitivity, all of that on your own. So the thing about type 2 diabetes and reversing it for real, like getting not all of it out, because that's like a crazy thing to say, because if you return to your old habits, it will return. But the thing about type 2 diabetes is it falls under 3 pillars in the sense that you have to resolve the blood sugar stuff. Then you have to get to the root cause because there's always generally something deeper. For some people, it's just blood sugar. For other people, it's other things. You got to get to those. And then the third pillar is you have to repair the damage that was done from, years or months or just consistent blood sugar issues, gut issues, etc. And so when you understand those 3 pillars and then also how to heal within those 3 pillars, but also how to live within those 3 pillars, that's when you see the most change in your type 2 diabetes. Because if you just try and focus on blood sugar and you don't assess whether there's some gut stuff going on and start working on your gut, you don't tackle inflammation, then you'll feel better, certainly, if you resolve your blood sugar. That's just like without a doubt. But you also won't feel as good as you can, and you don't get to the root and to the heart of the matter. And that's what, pharmaceuticals do. I have no problem with people taking, drugs or whatever they need in order to manage their conditions. I'm not really a person that prescribes to telling people what to do. I just tell you how to do other things. But the thing about that path is that you are just focusing on blood sugar. You're not thinking about your gut health, your liver health. You're not talking about inflammation. And then that, again, is missing the mark. Because then if you were to just go off those blood sugar will be the same. It will, it will continue to not be regulated because you haven't gotten to the heart of the matter. And so we're going to talk about those 3 pillars today. If you have any questions, just post them in the comment box and I will hopefully answer them if I can. Okay, so the first pillar is, of course, blood sugar. And so it is very important that you think about your blood sugar, you flatten your glucose curve, you make sure that you are, taking into account what's happening in between your meals, after your meals, in the middle of the night, because all of those sort of glucose situations that could be potentially happening in those areas will either contribute to more type 2 diabetes and a persistence of that condition or a reversal of the symptoms. So you want to make sure that you are flattening those curves. There's so many things that you can do. I say this all the time in almost every single live that I do. You definitely need to start incorporating apple cider vinegar or something to that effect. I'm actually putting out a video right after this live with a product that is sort of like apple cider vinegar, but it doesn't taste as harsh. It's a lot easier for people to consume. Same benefits, etc. So I'm excited about that. Because drinking apple cider vinegar throughout your day, before meals, contributes to a significant reduction in your blood sugar levels. It just does. Now, yes, you do have to be thinking about the food that you eat when you are having your meals, the amount of food that you're eating, but starting with something like apple cider vinegar that's really, really easy to implement is great, because then you start to get the benefits. You start to, not feel so tired after your meals. So you have energy in between your meals. So you feel more engaged in making better meals for lunch, for dinner. Once you start to give your body energy back through doing some of these easy things like apple cider vinegar before your meals, then you have energy for root causes. Okay, so there were questions. I'm just going to scroll back up. Carbs. And honey spike my sugar instantly. Carbs, absolutely. Carbs are not bad. I just want to say that. Carbs are absolutely not bad. However, what carbs you choose is very important to your blood sugar, but also how you consume those carbs. We need carbs for energy. It's very important for our body. It's a macronutrient, so it means it's like the top three. You know, we need protein, we need fat, we need carbs. We need those three things to like survive. So we need energy. If you want to go through life feeling good anyway. But the thing about it is you don't ever want to eat a naked carb, so you want to make sure that your carbs, you know, you're eating with things. It's not just like coffee on an empty stomach. It's not, well, coffee's not a carb, but it has like a carb-like effect. You want to make sure that you're not having like, you know, just toast with nothing on it or cereal with like skim milk. Like that kind of stuff is going to spike you out like crazy. Sugars will, so honey, white sugar, molasses, brown sugar, you know, even coconut sugar like does have an effect. So those things will spike you instantly, but it's not about staying away from those things unless you're eating them in excess, of course. Nothing excessive, always balanced. But then you just need to think about how you consume those things in your life. One of the things that I teach in all of my everything, my free live videos, my free newsletter, my blood sugar workshop, the blood sugar fix, 12-week program, like everything is really about making things work with your life. Because if it feels hard and like something you can't sustain, then you won't sustain it. Yes, there's a mindset piece to believing that you can do these things, but there is an element of making things work in your life in order to create a lifestyle around it, because it has to be your lifestyle. This has to become your lifestyle, or else you will have type 2 diabetes forever. You either live this lifestyle and like get rid of it, or you just keep doing what you're doing and you have to use other things to manage, or it's unmanaged. So someone says, my C-reactive levels are a high indicator of inflammation. I'm missing something. Yeah, I don't know what you could be missing. But the thing about inflammation and like, so inflammation, you have to heal other things before you can resolve inflammation. Because there's so many things that we do that cause inflammation in the body. Having consistent blood sugar spikes and dips will have an inflammatory effect as like a side effect, or like, you know, a tail end thing. Gut health issues, persistent gut health issues creates inflammation in the body. So if you have those two things unregulated, then, you know, inflammation is the result. So if you're like just trying to resolve the inflammation and all these other things are happening, then you're still, it's like you're kind of operating on the back foot. So that's the thing about inflammation. And the thing also, what like anti-inflammatories, like the ones that they prescribe, they're also like so intense. Like they're the most intense, one of the most intense prescriptions that you'll get. So it's like try and find other ways to lower your inflammation. And one of the best ways is to, again, go back to the beginning. What's happening with your blood sugar? What's happening with your gut? You know, and going from there. Someone says, is it necessary to cut out all carbs? No, it's not. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that from like a just like, oh my God, I love living life and eating things and enjoying food. It's like a pleasure point for me for sure. But also like from a energetic, like macronutrient perspective, we need carbohydrates. Like we just do. And the people who can subsist without them, I mean, I don't know what they're doing, but I know for me, I feel best when I'm eating like a balanced diet. Again, it's about a framework of like eating all the things that your body needs, but eating them in a way that is also like supportive of your blood sugar, being anti-inflammatory, etc. Like there are some things that universally are going to cause inflammation and make you feel like shit. Alcohol. If you drink, you need to make sure that you are doing a lot of stuff to counteract that. If you are also drinking and like type 2 diabetes, or you have eczema like I had, like you need to either stop drinking, which is the route I chose, again, not an easy one, or you need to be like really good about bookending any type of drinking that you do with like anti-inflammatory things, because otherwise you will 100% never be able to catch up, because drinking is just inflammatory. It just like straight up is. But those like, you know, and eating like lots of processed food, like those are like universal truths. They will cause inflammation if you eat them consistently without, you know, breaks or other things in there. But back to the point about like, is it necessary to cut carbs? No, it's not. You just have to just be mindful. Like, create a strategy in your life that like works for you to allow you to do the things you love to do. For me, it's like eating. I like take pleasure in it. I'm a chef as well, so it's like I live. It's like my lifestyle and my livelihood. But I also just like want to live and like enjoy life. So I find ways to enjoy life and also still be healthy and like feel good in my body. Someone says, do you have autoimmune? So I had very high inflammatory markers. I had eczema from my neck here. It like started to my ankles. I don't anymore. You just can't see because I'm wearing a sweater. And it was rooted in autoimmune issues. My adrenals were messed up from years of just like being an entrepreneur, moving around, not sleeping a lot, stressing over money, over all these things. My gut was messed up because I was like a sugar addict. Like I still really like sugar, but I just have a better relationship with it. But I was a sugar addict. It had messed up my gut. My liver was crazy from years of partying. I used to be a DJ. So, I'll let you come to your own conclusions about what went on in those days. And so my liver was messed up. Like I was all of those things. And it really just culminated in like the manifestation of just like autoimmune issues and based eczema, essentially. So I had to do a lot of healing. I used to always get like really bloated, stomach aches, gas, headaches, shaky in between meals. So it was insulin resistance, eczema, and like gut issues. So I had just like a full gamut of things. I wish, and I always say this on every live, so if you're here often, you've heard me say this. I often say that like blood tests will miss a lot of the things that are going on. I definitely 100% had H. pylori, but because I was getting blood tests, it was missed. But I had like my naturopath and then also like my functional doctor was like, or functional practitioner, she's not a doctor. We were pretty much like, based on everything that I had, I pretty much probably had H. pylori, but nobody tested me for that at that time. That said, again, I go on long-winded tangents. I did have autoimmune presentations all over my body, and I did an autoimmune protocol, and that helped tremendously. In the Blood Sugar Fix, there is an autoimmune anti-inflammatory week, where we talk about that at length. Because I think that it's hard to talk about anti-inflammatory and like autoimmune protocols because they can be very overwhelming. Or like one of those so much that it like involves. So I very rarely talk about that like in these situations, only because I'm not in a position to like give you all the things that you would need to like feel supported in doing an autoimmune protocol, and then you would just like be overwhelmed. So I very rarely touch on that, but yeah, I did one and it worked really well. But because I'm a chef, I was able to like, honestly, one of the things, and I know is that for a lot of people, doing any type of healing naturally, that involves so much, like everything. It's like, what supplements do I take? What food do I eat? Like, what do I avoid? What can I drink? How do I exercise? Like, all of that stuff, I know that can just become really overwhelming. And that's honestly why I do what I do, because I faffed around for about 18 months in my healing journey, and it could have been probably about like 7 or 8. Simply because I had to go all over the place. And I think it was short because I actually know how to cook. I've trained in like nutrition. I know how to read studies. I know how to do all that. But I can only imagine not having that. It would have taken so much longer. That's why I like condense it down. Someone says, how do I carry apple cider vinegar when I'm going out in the world? I actually have like a tiny container that I got like one of those like immunity elixirs from like a juice spot, and I just put it in there and I take it. And usually just so that I don't like arouse any suspicion, if I don't want to talk about it, because like people ask a lot of questions once you like say like, oh, apple cider vinegar for blood sugar, it goes on a tangent. Sometimes I just don't feel like it. So I will often drink it, like if I'm going out to dinner or something, I'll drink the apple cider vinegar in the car. I'll just like scull it. Sometimes I like pre-mix it so it's like perfect. Scull it, and then I'll go inside and like just do what I need to do. I always still try and order a salad first, but the sculling in the car allows me to like order a beverage right away without any issue. But I also, when I order my beverage, I also order a salad like right away. So that's how I go out into the world and do it. There's some people, who, you know, I'm around and I like don't care, like I'm so comfortable with them. But it's like if I'm in like a situation where I just really don't want to talk about it. So that's how you do it, discreet. Facts on choosing a new lifestyle. Well, when you're choosing a new lifestyle, there's a lot of mindset that goes into it because you have to become that person. Like, you have to become that girl, as me and my friends say. You have to, like, be in the, like, energy of the person that's going to do those things. So it's like, you kind of have to ask yourself, am I, like, what does a person who is, like, you know, reverses their type 2 diabetes, what are their like kitchen behaviors? Do they cook a lot? Probably. Do they still go out? Yes, of course. Again, I empower you to still live your life, but you do have to like cook more. So you have to be in the energy of that. Like if you're a person that says, oh my God, I suck at meal planning, you have to start saying like, I'm so good at meal planning. I meal plan perfectly. Write affirmations around that. We talk about that in the mindset week and the blood sugar fix. But you have to like sort of be that, you have to like affirm good things around these habits. Like, you gotta believe it. If you don't believe that this is gonna work for you and you're just going through the motions, it might not. Because you gotta believe, too, there's like a huge element. And that's like science-based. In the blood sugar fix, I did so much research on the science of healing. And there's so much science, like actual, factual science around your mind and its ability to help you heal your body of anything. And so we talk about that too. So choosing a new lifestyle is really a mindset thing, like first and foremost. And then you have to just like do the work. It's hard in the beginning. Everything's hard in the beginning. It's just like life. So you kind of have to just be, you know, aware that it gets easier. In the meal planning workshop that we do in the blood sugar fix, I always, like I say right off the top, I'm making it as easy as possible for you here, but it's also going to be a little hard in the beginning. For the first 2 weeks, the first month, when you're getting your sea legs, you're doing that first round of meal prep, yes, it feels a little bit laborious and you're like, oh my God, I feel out of sorts. That's why we have a WhatsApp support group so we can talk about it. Because I just want you to be realistic. But also within that realism, knowing that you can do it. That's when the mindset comes in, knowing that this is hard in the beginning, but because I'm continuing to do it, hard work is rewarded. Effort is rewarded. It just is. I believe that firmly. And it's actually played out in my life pretty positively. So that's what I mean. Again, choosing a new lifestyle. Again, it's like, I love that you said choosing because it is a choice. Can someone with insulin resistance do intermittent fasting? So maybe, but unlikely if you are a female in her reproductive age or a person in their reproductive age that, you know, is a birther, if you will. Because, so the thing about insulin resistance and blood sugar is it can have a real knock-on effect to our hormones and like our fertility and reproduction. And so if you are waking up in the morning and you're feeling and you're ready to eat and you don't eat and you get that feeling like you want to eat and you don't, that will start to release cortisol. Your body goes into stress because it's hungry and you're not feeding it. And so what happens is you release cortisol. Once cortisol is released, it starts to affect then your like sex hormones, your reproductive hormones, testosterone, estrogen, all of that, progesterone. And that's no good. That's no good never. Like, you just never really want to be having a spiral effect of hormonal things. So the thing about intermittent fasting is it works for some people. It does. I'll never deny it. But there are a great many of us, because I used to intermittent fast as well. It actually just makes things worse. So that's, again, something that if that is your choice to do, if you like it, I love it for you. I do. It's not something I do, but I love it for you. So, but you have to just like really feel it out. If you don't feel good and you're intermittent fasting, you feel like you should feel good, baby, stop. But I also don't recommend coffee on an empty stomach. So if you are intermittent fasting, black coffee is like what's getting you through, no, then I definitely don't recommend it. So someone said, how can I get help reversing these things? You can do the blood sugar workshop, which I have, which is an affordable way to get the fundamentals of how to do this naturally, all the hacks you can implement into your life. And then there's also the blood sugar fix. The blood sugar fix starts on May 1st. It is a 12-week program, and we cover everything from gut health, blood sugar, inflammation, meal planning, doing this in the real world, like real time, bone broth, like a cooking workshop outside of that, just because I want you to get both sides. We talk about the science of healing and blood sugar and inflammation, but we also do the practical stuff, because it's one thing for me to tell you, don't do this, do that, and do this, and then being like, bye, or do this, do that, do this, and here's how you do it. So that's like really important to me. That's why it's 12 weeks. And then there's also a WhatsApp support group because, like I said, I really messed around a lot not knowing what to do when I was healing, because I just didn't know who to ask. Like, booking a naturopath appointment for every question I had would just, like, that's cost prohibitive. So I often did things that were like dead ends, or I felt really low at times, and like nobody understood where I was coming from. I left one of my best friend's birthday parties like crying because everyone is eating all these things, and I had just stopped eating everything because everything was causing a reaction. And if I had like people who were going through the same thing, I feel like I'm like getting emotional a little bit. Yeah, a little bit, but that's okay. But if I had people who were going through the same thing as me, I think it would have just been a lot easier. Honestly, it would have been a lot easier. I would have felt more supported. I felt like I was alone a lot during my healing journey because you can't really talk to people about it. It brings them down. But having people who would have gotten it would have been great. But anyways, again, tangents. That's like the best solutions that I have for reversing your type 2 diabetes. Bragg's apple cider vinegar has a drink. It's so good. They do have a drink, but like one thing I'll say about bone broth, apple cider vinegar, all of that is that if you buy these like premixes, if you buy bone broth already made, you are going to spend a fortune. This is going to cost you a lot of money, and that is not the vibe. We want to save our money for travel, for enjoyment, for things we love doing, not for bone broth and apple cider vinegar when those things are affordable. Just learn how to make elixirs and drinks and tonics at home. You will save so much money. That's why you always see all these tonics and drinks on my feed, because I legitimately make those because I will not buy like an apple cider vinegar drink for like $6. I'm just not going to do it. And I'm not going to buy a thing of bone broth this big for like $6. I'm just not going to do it. I live in Toronto and people charge a lot for things here. And so, I just encourage you to get creative in the kitchen and like start making things, you know, for yourself, because you don't want to spend a fortune doing this, because that's enough. That's one of those things, like I counted up how much it cost me from start to finish, or not finish, because you never finish. This is a lifestyle. But look, I was going hard at my eczema, like healing. It cost me just over $10,000. You know why? Because I was farting around with dead ends and like trying to buy things and like shortcuts. Sometimes the best shortcut is learning how to do it quickly for yourself. Truly. Because wow. It's crazy. Someone said, do I provide coaching? I do private coaching. Again, I have the blood sugar fix. In the blood sugar fix, you get 2 coaching calls with me, one when you sign up and then one during the program. The first one is so that we get you set up to like actually be successful over the 12 weeks. And then the second one is during the course. If there's anything that's like coming up for you, we can like guide. So that's an option, but I also do like one-on-one. But again, the course is like, you get everything. You get something that will cost you way more for like less. But yes, I do coaching. I actually love coaching. It's great. Someone said, thanks. You're welcome. I'm just getting to all the questions. Someone says, I suffer from hypoglycemia and get lightheaded without eating carbs every 3 hours. I need help. Okay, so hypoglycemia is sort of like the start of the path. Like there's kind of like a line to type 2 diabetes, and like reactive hypoglycemia is the first line, and then there's and then there's insulin resistance, then there's pre-diabetes, then there's type 2 diabetes. So what you want to consider when you have reactive hypoglycemia is really about what's going on at that meal. What is happening when you are eating the meals? Also, 3 hours is, I mean, being lightheaded after 3 hours is no good still, but you could eat at the like 2 hour and 45 minute mark and still be chill. But that being said, there's 2 ways to think about it. So the first way is you want to just like check in on those meals. How filling are your meals? What's going on there? Like, how are you eating those meals? What are those meals comprised of? Because that could be just like putting you on a path of destruction and you don't even know it. That happens often. You just didn't know there was like one thing. And like you want to load up protein and fat. Those are things that are going to make you feel satiated. And they are also going to give you like sustenance. Now there's a recipe that I have in the blood sugar workshop. They're called butter bark bites. And you eat them in between meals like every hour or like 30-minute intervals. And so what this does is like, what is happening too is like, I'm also like very much, because I know the science behind healing, is that you and your body have to sort of like come back together and like get each other's cues. What happens when we have blood sugar issues is our body starts to lose faith. And so your body gets hungry and it's like reaching for things because it's like, are we going to get more food? Are we not going to get more food? It's also like why weight loss resistance happens. So what you need to start doing is eating plenty of meals and also giving your body like the things it needs to sustain you that are going to keep your blood sugar like absolutely stable, going to have no effect. And so with these butter bark bites, they're comprised of like butter, obviously, and then some other things that help keep your blood sugar truly, like you eat it and it just sustains it. You don't spike, you don't dip. And what this does, if you have them every like 45 minutes to an hour in between your meals, is it keeps your blood sugar stable so that you don't get all these lightheadedness things, and then you kind of like start to create blood sugar stability, insulin sensitivity, the more that you have these like flat curves after meals. So that's very important. Like you resolve reactive hypoglycemia by really focusing on your meals. Making sure that your meals are good, but also finding ways in between meals to keep your blood sugar stable so that you don't have these spikes and dips and you get to your next meal feeling good. Okay. Just scrolling up for questions. Okay, sorry. Also, just letting everyone know, I also post these full things on my YouTube after. So if you miss it, you can go back and watch. Can you drink apple cider vinegar as a shot, or does it have to be mixed with water? You can drink it as a shot, but careful of your teeth. It's vinegar. It will absolutely chew up your teeth, man. And I don't want to be responsible for that in your life. So if you're going to do it, always have a straw. I have this like retractable straw that I just like take everywhere with me. It has a little case. So I take that. And sometimes I do just like suck back like straight apple cider vinegar. I don't really like that so much. So I usually mix it with a tiny bit of water at least. But you can, with your apple cider vinegar, your stomach will like that. But I would just try and add like a little bit of water. You just never know what's going on with your gut, and that could just like make for like discomfort, and that sucks. We don't like discomfort. Someone said that makes so much sense of it being a mindset change. Honestly, everything in life is a mindset, and I know that sounds like so pedantic, but I've learned that the hard way. Also learned that intuition matters as well. If you are talking to someone and they say you need to do this or you need to do that, and it feels like wrong inside you, like there's just something inside you that's like, ugh, you get the ick. The ick is another word for your intuition popping and saying, like, this is not for you. Back off. Like, whatever this is suggesting, don't do it. Or do more investigative work before you decide to do it. Every time I have ignored that ick, that feeling, things have gone south. Things have gone bad. They've not gone the way that I would have liked them to. So that's also something to think about. Mindset, but also, like, follow your intuition. Trust yourself. That's the word. Trust yourself. In the healing journey, we often defer so much to all these other people, who are telling us what we should do. They're telling us how we feel, what we have, what we should do. And sometimes you have to just be like, I'm going to do something else. Or, you know what? I'm going to say how I feel or what I want to do next. And if they don't listen to you, find someone else. Okay. All right. Scrolling. It's so weird to scroll. And like when I watch these back, I'm like, oh my God, that looks so weird scrolling. Someone said, I was just diagnosed 2 weeks ago. Well, you're in the right place. Hooray. Welcome. I think also a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes is very scary. And they also scare you. They do. And rightfully so. Diabetes is no joke. It really isn't. But don't let that fear drive you into doing something that you don't feel comfortable with. Often I tell people who like come to me and start working with me and they say like, my doctor wants to put me on meds. What do I say? I just say, come to me and ask your doctor to give you 6 months. Say, if in 6 months I don't, either stop this from progressing or reverse it, I'll do whatever you say. Give yourself 6 months and commit to this way of things for 6 months. And unless there's something like crazy going on that's even deeper that requires like serious medical attention, I am confident that your doctor will back off in 6 months. If you do this for 6 months, if you adopt this lifestyle for life, but in the next 6 months. But you gotta believe. Oh, and she gave you 3 months. Okay, sweet. 3 months is like perfect. I mean, that's why the blood sugar fix is 3 months, because 3 months is really how long it takes to truly start to see things work. Like inositol, taking inositol consistently every single day, it's gonna take you about 3 months to see results. Same with berberine. It's gonna take you about 8 to 12 weeks for like A1C numbers to start going places. And that's just like the real deal. But again, like I said earlier, that this, it takes time. Like if you take metformin or you take insulin or something, like those things work very fast. They do, they work immediately. But they're not really fixing the problem. They're just like at the top level. They're the first pillar, blood sugar. But there's the gut stuff, there's the inflammation, there's everything. And so once you kind of like, go deeper, that's when it all starts to work and be like an actual heal, but that takes time. It just does. Someone says, can you really reverse diabetes? I've had it for over 10 years. Of course you can. But you just, and this is with no disrespect, you just probably haven't been doing the things that can reverse it naturally for the last 10 years. So you just need to learn them. But it doesn't matter how long you've had it. You can reverse it. Absolutely. Type 1 diabetes is a whole other thing. I don't ever touch on that. But type 2 diabetes, absolutely you can. They always just Band-Aid. They really do. Berberine is helpful. I actually just posted a video yesterday about berberine and inositol. So berberine is great. The only thing about berberine is that it can, over long-term use, start to like affect gut function a little bit. And you don't want that. Just because, like, again, like I said, there's the 3 pillars: blood sugar, gut health, liver health, and then inflammation. And so, like, it's doing a good thing for your blood sugar, but over time, it could potentially, in not all cases. I do like inositol. I love inositol, actually. I love it in so many ways, too. Inositol is kind of sweet, so adding it to, like, drinks or beverages or something actually adds, like, a nice hint of sweetness, and you're also getting the benefit. Huzzah. That's for the Water Talk girlies. That was a free one. Just kidding. But I also like it because you don't have to take breaks. Like, if you're taking berberine, you're going to take it, like, I'll take a bottle of berberine, and then I'll take, like, a month off. And then I'll start again. But inositol, you can really take pretty consistently without any gut issues. That said, you might have, like, in the moment when you start taking it, if you take too much, you'll feel it. You will have some movement for sure, but that's temporary as your body gets used to it. What type of magnesium should a woman take? I take magnesium biglycinate. I like that one. That is good for, like, inflammation. It's good. Like, all magnesium is good for sleep. It's good for, like, fertility, inflammation, just all the things. I like biglycinate. Citrate is if you're having a real hard time going to the bathroom, but biglycinate is sort of like more like the body stuff. Would I recommend Ovasitol over an off-brand inositol plus D-Chiro? I actually recommend Ancient Bliss. I have it linked in my bio here. If you click, it'll be one of the options that comes up. But I prefer that one. But like, oh yeah, Ovasitol is just a brand name. I think everyone like thinks Ovasitol is like another type. It's just a brand. So really, I mean, go wild. Pick one you like. Someone says I have hypothyroidism and insulin resistance. Could the two be connected? Well, the thyroid, I feel like, is the organ du jour. We were talking about the liver, and now we're all talking about the thyroid because there's a lot of thyroid stuff going on. So, yes and no. The thing about the thyroid is your liver health matters so very much. And the thing about blood sugar stuff is your liver matters so very much. Again, that's why it's one of the pillars, gut health and liver health in the blood sugar fix, certainly. Because it's one of our most important pathways for detoxification of everything, but also for the use of glucose. So there's obviously something going on in the liver area if you're dealing with insulin resistance and hypothyroidism. If like your thyroid and your liver are popping off, or your thyroid, and your blood sugar are popping off, your liver is probably like something's probably going on. So they could be connected, but not in the way that you would think, in the sense that I would look at your liver and your gut. Because if those two things are happening, even though they seem like not related, they could be related to like one thing that's making them both have issues. Mitch, magnesium is ineffective. I have magnesium oxide. Hate to tell you, magnesium oxide is probably the one that I would take the least. I probably wouldn't take it. So biglycinate is the one you want. And also, like, not every supplement has to be super expensive. Like, in some situations it matters. Like, a good, like, magnesium should be like $20 or less. And I live in Canada where things are expensive. So if I'm saying $20 or less, you can get it cheaper if you're in, like, the States, certainly. But yeah, you want to use biglycinate for magnesium. Can someone take magnesium with metformin or high blood pressure medication? So I am not a blood pressure like expert like at all in the slightest. That is not where I live as far as my expertise. One thing I do know, and I will say this as not your doctor or medical practitioner at all, is that almost everyone in the world, if you're not taking magnesium, you're deficient in it. That's just like how it's going, especially in like North American, Western world life, UK, Germany, like all of us, low in magnesium. So, I don't know if it will harm you on these medications, but I know that it is quite beneficial to have a good magnesium level in your life. One thing that's important about magnesium is that magnesium and vitamin D, they go together in the sense that in order to take up the most vitamin D, you need magnesium. So if you're taking a lot of vitamin D because maybe you live in a northern climate and someone said you got to take vitamin D, and you aren't taking magnesium, you might create a deficiency in your body. So that's why it's important to do blood work. Blood work is great. I love Dutch testing, so that's urine. I love like GI mapping, that's your poo, number 2. And I also love blood tests. Blood tests are really good confirmation of things. And there's a lot of things you can get from blood tests, like your full thyroid panel, etc. I like Dutch testing because you get like food sensitivities, all the things. Same with like stool mapping and like GI testing. But that's why it's really good to do those things, because you can see where all your levels are at and bring them up accordingly, as opposed to just taking things to take things. Just because there's something that you can take that can actually hurt you in high doses. Like if you take too much vitamin D, you can get toxicity. And that's bad. You don't want that. Hospitalization stuff. So that's just something you want to consider. Okay. Sorry, I missed that. Do I also help with liver or thyroid? So again, I help with gut and liver, but I don't, like, indirectly liver work helps with the thyroid, but I can't say on good conscience that I'm like a thyroid expert. I'm not. I have some people that like Jen Cinco. She is a functional practitioner. She's really like good at the thyroid. That's like her thing. But I can help you with the liver. That will indirectly help the thyroid, but your thyroid kind of sometimes you have to do other things. And I'm not versed in that. I've heard zinc is also effective. Is this true? If so, what kind? Zinc is great. Again, when you start to get down to like minerals and mineral analysis, you do want to just like know what's up for your body, simply because you don't want to take things that are like throwing things off that you might already be taking. You don't want to take things that your body doesn't need. There's things that you can get from food, but like also like a Dutch test will be able to tell you what foods you absorb best. So you can then understand like, should I be taking zinc, or am I someone who can eat these sources and actually absorb them really well? If not, maybe I should be taking it. And so, again, zinc is effective, but a lot of, like, when it comes to supplementation and it comes to things like that, there's some universal truths, like, for sure. But then there's also some, like, real narrowing down that happens through blood work or just testing. I won't say blood work, I'll just say testing. I've heard I should incorporate dandelion root and milk thistle for liver health. Well, dandelion root is great. So is milk thistle. And they're not really harmful to you if you take them, you know, just like taking them. That being said, I think it's like a full, well-rounded approach. You have to make sure that you've cleaned up your act as far as like environmental toxins, like what you're eating is like whole food. Like there's a lot that helps with liver health, and it's not just like supplements or just like lemon water in the morning. All of those things work, but like together. Telling you, in the gut portion and liver portion of the blood sugar fix, we talk about this at length, because also one of the things about the liver and the gut, because they're both gut health organs technically, is that you don't actually fix and help by like pushing and forcing and like trying to like make it like work and like fix it. It's actually like it has to be much more delicate in a sense, much more nuanced, simply because when we constrict, our liver and our gut constrict with you. And you know what doesn't happen when you're tight? Healing. It has to happen in a place of like rest, relaxation. That is why we talk about the like science and like of healing and like the science behind it, so that you kind of believe in it, so that you relax into the course. Because if you don't relax into the course and like believe that it's going to work for you week over week, then we'll get to some points and it just nothing's going to happen because you'll be tight. And so when it comes to liver health, gut health, it's a multi-pronged approach. Part of it comes from up here, and another part of it comes from like the habits and the things that you're doing. But I know that's like might be a frustrating answer, but it's just there's like so many things. And that's why I think that people, you know, get really frustrated and they hear about liver health and like liver detox and all of that, because they're only doing like one element of it. And so it's like, yeah, it failed you because you didn't look at the whole, like, it in totality. Like, you can't really game this in that, like, sense. That you can't, like, and I don't want to say cheat, because that's not the word, but you do have to be in a very real place and a ready place for, like, healing and to sort of like go forward with like a new path, new protocol, and new way of thinking about it. Because if you're like super wound up about, is this going to work? I have to do it perfectly, la la la. That is not going to work. And I say that as someone who is so A-type when it comes to certain things. There's some things I'm like super relaxed about. But when it comes to like achieving a goal, like when I set a goal, I'm like getting it. And that was part of my problem in the beginning of my journey, was that I was like, I'm feeling my skin naturally. And I like went at it in like a very like mask tight, like forceful way. And I came up to a lot of resistance in the beginning. And I think it was because of that energy that I had around it. Again, a tangent. I love going on tangents. Okay, everyone, get your last questions in because I'm going to wrap this up for the day. But I have like so much more time on my hands because something happened in my like when I work in TV in Canada, and one of the TV shows I work on is like ending, so I have more time on my hands to do all these lives. So I'll be back tomorrow if you missed your question today. Someone said, yes, definitely working on a whole healing. No more alcohol or processed foods, sugar, or simple carbs. Yes, you can have a little bit of sugar, because also what you need to remember about healing is joy needs to be a part of it. If all you're doing every single day is stuff that feels very hard, very punishing, you have no joy and no space for enjoyment and like living and life and that's also not the vibe either. And in all of my programs, all of my everything, again, I try and show you that you don't have to be perfect to progress in your healing journey, but you have to make sure that you're just consistent. That's really what it is. Is a stool test more effective than blood? I think so. I do. I just think that you get more gut perspective. Like, blood is testing what's going on in your blood, but a lot of stuff that will pick up in your blood will also pick up in your stool. Someone said, this was so amazing to see you live. Oh, thanks. Thanks for coming. Are castor oil packs helpful? They're so helpful. I love castor oil packs. I wear one like all the time. Like, if I can't wear it at night, I will wear it in the day with like a heating pad on for maybe like an hour. In the summer, because it gets like roaring hot in Toronto, I'll probably just like go sit outside with one, just like on my, liver. And I will wear one overnight. Like, I have worn one, I think, every night since I got back from my trip. I was in Edmonton last week. So every night since last Thursday, I've worn a castor oil pack. If you are doing colon hydrotherapy or coffee enemas or parasite cleanses or anything, you want to be wearing a castor oil pack, because that is going to help move things through. Castor oil packs are, so you take castor oil and you wear it on your liver. A pack is just like the towel, like holding situation. It permeates all of the skin barriers and it helps with smooth muscle contractions. It's also incredibly healing to the places that it touches. So the thing about castor oil packs is this. There's a few things. You don't want to wear it on your period. Because of this smooth muscle contraction business, it's great for your liver, but it's all muscles. So it will move that uterus in a way that might make you pass out because you bleed so much. You will bleed very heavily. And you don't want that. That being said, you also don't want to wear it if you are trying to conceive after you have like tried to get it home. So anytime after ovulation, no bueno, because again, you don't want any smooth muscle contractions when you're trying to have a pregnancy and like a little implantation stick. So that, and I think that's it. Just not on your period, not when you're trying to conceive after ovulation. Because yeah, you just don't want to do that. So I love castor oil packs. Maybe I'll talk more about it tomorrow in tomorrow's live. I will be going live again at around 10ish. I always announce it on Instagram, on my Instagram stories. I put my Instagram handle in my bio, so you can just go check it there. So I usually let people know in the morning what time I'm going to go live here. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for all the questions. Oh, someone said my house is stunning. Thank you. This is like, my house is like most beautiful angle. We have a lot of really nice woodwork in here, as you can see. So it's like, so when I have to do it in like my office / bedroom, I'm like, damn. But if someone's working out here, I obviously can't. But no one was here today, so free to do it in the living room. Thanks for the compliment. So again, join the blood sugar workshop. Check out the blood sugar fix. There's also the free webinar, the Fix Your Blood Sugar webinar, which is these 3 pillars that I talked about more in depth. And if you want to watch this playback, the whole thing, I'll put it on YouTube this afternoon, and you can click on my link in the bio here to check that out as well. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.